Working moms, I am so excited for this episode today where I am talking about the ambitious and balanced process. Over the last several weeks, I have been going over the foundations of what it takes to create a life that feels balanced. And I walk you through the three C's: clarity, confidence, and control. And in today's episode, I'm actually laying out for you the step-by-step process for creating that life that feels balanced and implementing the clarity, confidence, and control that we've been talking about. And I've got some really exciting news for you. I'm announcing my new group coaching program that is happening this fall. I'm walking you through the entire process and giving you all the details right here, right now. You ready? Let's get to it. Hello, working moms. I am so excited for this episode today because I am unveiling my new group coaching program that I am launching in the fall. And I am actually going to walk you through the whole process right here today because I don't want work-life balance or a life that feels balanced to feel like a mystery to you. I want you to know exactly what it is and what you need to do in order to create the balanced life that you want. So I'm going to lay it all out for you right here in this episode. I'm going to give you all of the details of the group, exactly what we're going to do in the group, the process that I'm going to teach in the group, what to expect, so that you could really decide if this is the right investment of your time, money, and energy. Okay, so I'm going to jump right in here because I'm just too excited. So we've been in the middle of this series. I've called it the Balance Foundations. Now, this is essentially the last 5 weeks. We've been talking about the foundational principles of what it takes to create a life that feels balanced. Now, I have called the process the three C's: clarity, confidence, and control. And if I were to simplify what each of these three steps are that I've essentially walked you through in the last 5 weeks over the course of this podcast, here's how I would describe it to you. Clarity is all about deciding your priorities. Confidence is all about believing that you are valuable and amazing, no matter what anyone else thinks or how much you accomplish or even how good whatever it is you accomplish is. And lastly, it's control. It's the need to control your time and your schedule and your energy so that at the end of the workday or at the end of your work week, you're still able to be present and connected to your family. Now, if you haven't listened to me talk through each of the three C's, I do suggest you go back and listen to it more in depth. Each episode is maybe 20 to 25 minutes long because I really want you to learn the foundational principles. It's actually going to really help you decide if I'm the right coach for you, right? If you resonate with the way that I teach on this podcast and the principles that I teach, then coaching with me and having weekly conversations and giving me a glimpse into your life where you can get real-time feedback on how to prioritize, what to let go of, how to manage all of those swirly thoughts, how to let go of disappointing others, all of that. It's just going to catapult you into this priorities first living that you are looking for. So definitely go back and listen to those episodes. But this is really going to bring it all together for you because I'm going to walk you through the practicality of the process, which is the process I'm using in this new group coaching program that I'm launching here in the fall. Okay. So let's walk through, very practically speaking, how do you go about implementing the three C's of clarity, confidence, and control by using the ambitious and balanced process. Step one is decide. Now, there are a number of things that need to be decided in the ambitious and balanced coaching group, and I'm going to walk you through each of those decisions. There's 4 of them, but just know that if you join the group, you're going to get a workbook and you'll also have opportunity to get coaching by me on those decisions. So there won't be any second guessing. It'll feel crystal clear to you what these decisions are and the answer to those decisions. Okay, so here's what needs to be decided in order to create your ambitious and balanced life. Number 1, the first thing, you have to decide when you are working and when you are not. It really starts right here with this commitment, with this decision, because I have never met an ambitious woman that struggles with working too little, right? This likely is the crux of what you want to change, how much you work and how much you prioritize work. And it starts with making a decision because ultimately you just get to decide what your working hours are and what your off hours are, more importantly, Because our generation of working moms, when I say that or when I think about that, I think about women or moms sort of between the ages of their like late 20s all the way to about 50. I'm 42 myself, so I'm right there in the middle. But our generation was taught that success in your job comes with working hard. And working hard generally means working until the job is done. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with that belief, but the problem comes when working until the job is done means putting in a whole bunch of time to finish the job up to an unrealistic standard. So many of the women I work with, I've had to help them unwind this belief that their success and their career is tied to them working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Because there's almost no way that you can work that many hours and experience a life that feels balanced. Instead, you have to decide a container of time that you are willing to work and then figure out or sort of like work your way backwards, problem solve for how to accomplish all the things that you need to accomplish at an acceptable standard within that time frame. Essentially, if you continue to give yourself more hours in the day to get everything done that you think that you need to get done for today, then you will take an endless amount of time in order to do it. It is only when you actually contain your time, give yourself a container of time to do something that you will learn how to do it in that time frame, that you will be more productive and faster in getting things done. So this is the starting point of the ambitious and balanced process. And it's one of the very first things that you're going to do in this group is you're going to decide the hours that you're going to work and the hours you are not. And then I'll talk about this in a few moments, but of course, over the course of our time together, you'll be essentially learning all of the tools and strategies for how to contain your work during those times and still be just as productive and successful that you want to be. It starts with the decision. When are your working hours and when are you off work? Okay. So that's the first decision that needs to be made that will help kick off the ambitious and balanced process. There's some other decisions though. The second one is to decide when what I like to call your heads down time is going to be. This is the time that you set aside in your calendar for you to just work and like check things off of your list. Because my experience of every ambitious working mom that I've ever worked with is because they're usually like a manager and above, because they're successful at their job, they've become dependable and people rely on them. They've got a long list of things to do. And their schedule is also very packed. There is very little pockets of time to actually do their work, right? They're like stuck in meetings all day because they really care about their team and they care about the people that they work with. They also likely have an open door policy. And so they're constantly getting interrupted by people walking into their office or messaging them on Teams. And they're responsive to that because they want to make sure they feel supported and cared for and compassionate. It's what makes them really good managers, right? So what ends up happening for these amazing, ambitious working women is that the pockets of time they have to finish their work is like 15 minutes here, 30 minutes between meetings, but it's not really enough time to like get in a groove and check a bunch of things off of their list. So the second thing that you're going to decide when you join this group is when is your heads down time going to be? And usually I recommend 2 sessions during the week. That would be the ideal of at least an hour, if not longer. Those go in your calendar. And then over the course of our coaching together, you're going to learn how to actually hold to that time and not schedule over it and not let meetings be scheduled over it and to turn off your Teams chat or close your door so you actually get the work done. Here's the reason why this is absolutely essential in the ambitious and balanced process. Here's what I know will happen if you don't schedule in this time and actually learn how to keep it. There's 2 things that could happen. Number 1, you won't get done all the things that you want to get done that day, right? Because you've been in meetings all day, for example. So you'll simply just plan to work more hours, right? You'll compromise on your boundaries. You'll work late, you'll log back on, you'll work on the weekends, you'll do whatever you need to do in order to like get to meet the deadline and to get the deliverable to your team or whatever it is to make sure that you stay reliable and dependable and supportive of your company and your team and your clients, right? Which means that you're just going to be throwing more hours at your work. You're just going to be working more hours to get things done, which is not what we want in an ambitious and balanced life. So that's the that's one of the things that's going to happen. Or you're not going to overwork. You're going to hold to your boundaries. But because you've been stuck in meetings all day and you didn't get anything done and you're choosing not to work late tonight in order to accomplish it, the second thing that would happen is you're going to start to feel guilty and bad and anxious and overwhelmed. You're going to start waking up in the middle of the night, thinking about all the things that need to get done and the things that you haven't gotten back to people. And then that's going to cause you to spiral, get super tired and exhausted, and also not experience the balanced life that you want to experience, right? So the way you avoid that is you actually schedule in heads down time into your calendar and you learn how to keep to it. The third decision that needs to be made and is a part of the ambitious and balanced process, if you want to create a life that feels balanced, this is one of the decisions you're going to have to make, is are you going to make time for just you? Look, the heart of the ambitious and balanced process within this entire community is about you becoming a higher priority. Truly. It's about you having goals for yourself, setting aside time to meet those goals. It's about you having the motherhood experience that you want to have and making that a priority. It's about you feeling like the best version of you so that you're not just a human machine where you're constantly working, but you actually have a life outside of work, right? That requires you prioritizing you, which means that you actually have to set aside time to prioritize yourself, right? It actually has to make it into the calendar. I know a lot of people will tell me as we start talking about their calendar and scheduling and when they're like fitting in times for themselves, they're like, well, if I can fit in a workout later, then I will. If I can go on a walk later, then I will. Maybe later, if it makes sense, I'll pick up a book and read a book. Right. All of the way that you even hear me say that, it almost feels, it's like if it feels comfortable, if there's time for it later, if I can manage to squeeze it in. Come on, we are all amazing, ambitious women. We've got full schedules. There's never just going to be time in your day that you magically happen to have at the end of the day or sometime in the middle of the day for you to go on that walk or for you to conveniently go work out or for you to take that bath or read that book. There's never going to be that time. You actually have to prioritize that time, which means you actually have to see yourself as a priority. In order to have a life that feels balanced, there has to be time in the schedule that is life-giving, that is like filling your cup. Okay, whatever you decide that to be. I have clients that want to take a pottery class or learn how to play guitar. I have clients that just want to get to bed on time. They want to crawl into bed at 9:00, read their book for a little bit and fall asleep and get a good night's sleep. I have clients that love going out and seeing their friends and they don't do that often enough. I have clients that wish that they could just have a really warm, hot cup of coffee in the morning without their kids and they want to prioritize that. Whatever it is for you, whatever that commitment is, for rest, for fun, whatever it's going to fill you up, that needs to be a priority and it needs to be calendared into your schedule. So that's the third decision that needs to be made in an ambitious and balanced life. When are you taking time for just you at least once a week? The fourth and final decision that's a part of the ambitious and balanced process. And this all falls under this first kind of umbrella, this first step of deciding, right? The fourth thing that you need to decide is when you're going to have quality time with your kids. This could be in the morning before school. That was my rhythm for many, many, many years because my kids were such early risers that we would get up, we would snuggle on the couch. I'd have a warm cup of tea. I would read them books. I mean, this could go on for like a good 45 minutes to an hour. I loved this time. And then we would get up and go in for the day and have breakfast and all the things before we would get going in the day. I loved this time. It worked for me. Doesn't work for me so much anymore. And my kids are kind of sleeping in as they're getting older. But maybe that would be the time that works for you. Or it could just be bedtime. It could be tuck in and having kind of an extended time to spend with your kids at that time. It could be when they first get home from school, or it could be right after dinner, right? I've never met a mom that doesn't say their kids come first. And yet most of the women that are feeling out of balance, they don't prioritize the time with their kids, even though they say that's like their kids are the most important. And so what always amazes me is that for most of the women I work with, they have time with their kids. It's just not quality time. It doesn't fill them up. It doesn't like fill their motherhood bucket, if you will. And consequently, it probably doesn't fill the kids' bucket either. They find themselves during their time with their kids, they find themselves distracted on their phone, trying to answer emails, multitask. I know I've told this story before in the past, but I had a past client. Her name was Erin. She had a 2-year-old. She was like holding the 2-year-old. She was on the phone trying to talk to her mom and answer like a Teams message while trying to make dinner all at the same time, right? Super mom, right? And her daughter was sort of getting fussy because she wasn't focusing on her. She wasn't giving her attention and she wanted attention. And so she just batted Erin's phone out of her hand. Phone landed on the ground. And my client just like woke up in that moment and was like, oh, my kid needs my attention. And she realized that she had this time that she just wasn't committing to making quality time. In the ambitious and balanced process, you're going to decide exactly when the kid focused time will be. And then I'm going to help you learn all of the tools to mitigate the distractions and really stay focused so that time feels fulfilling for both you and them. Okay, so 4 very key decisions that launch us in the ambitious and balanced process. Now, I said this before, but if you join my group, I'm actually going to walk you through all of those decisions. I'm going to help you make those decisions, make sure they feel right to you. We're going to coach on them. I'm going to give you a process to answer questions that are going to help you make a decision about those if that's what you need. I'm going to walk you through that process. But everyone, regardless of if you join this group or not, those 4 decisions are key in really creating the balanced life that you want. And if you haven't made the connection yet, all of this falls within that first C that I've spoken of, clarity. Now, the second step of the ambitious and balanced process that I will be walking 10 amazing women through in this group in the coming fall is to create your roadmap. Now, I call this a pivot map. Here's the thing, right? You can make all the decisions you want to make and figure out all of those priorities, know exactly when you want to work, when you don't want to work, exactly when you want to set aside time for yourself, exactly when you want to set aside time to just, get into the work and do the work. But deciding it doesn't mean you're actually going to change anything, right? Because when you have a client deadline coming up and you don't feel like you have enough time to get it done, it's very tempting to just tell yourself, I'm just going to have to log back on later and work on that and finish it up, right? Which of course then would have you compromising on your work hours and your priorities. So unless you know how to handle these moments and hold to your priorities, you're likely not going to do it. The most natural thing for you to do, for any of us to do, is to just keep prioritizing work in the ways that you have, to keep yourself at the bottom of the priority list, to continue to feel exhausted at the end of the workday, and just keep repeating that until you actually decide to interrupt that cycle and learn some different strategies and processes that I'm going to teach in coaching to get you through those moments, to get you to actually hold to the priorities that you decide. Now, I'm going to be coaching 10 people in this group. And while there's a lot of similarities between all of you, right? Like you're all moms, you all have ambitious careers that you want to stay focused on. You are likely perfectionists, people pleasing, and those are habits you want to change. You don't want to settle in your career. You certainly don't want to settle in how you're raising your children. And of course, you all still have unique circumstances that are getting in the way of you actually creating that life. So this step in creating your unique pivot map is you clearly understanding what is getting in the way of you holding to the things that you want, which are keeping your priorities, prioritizing yourself, staying unplugged when you want to be unplugged, taking your PTO, feeling confident at work, right? Allowing for some fun and spontaneity, adventure, sleeping through the night, not waking up with all of those anxious thoughts, right? This is what you all want. This is what I want in my own balanced life, in your balanced life. This is what I want for you. This is what we're creating in the ambitious and balanced community right here. When you create your roadmap, you're going to be thinking very specifically about what's getting in the way for you in having that life, right? If you were to think about like Google Maps, right? If you need directions somewhere, you input the address and up comes a Google map and it gives you the little line. It says you are here, right? It kind of gives you the dot and it shows you exactly where the destination is, right? So in your unique pivot map, what you're doing is you're thinking through the starting point. You're kind of listing it out for yourself. You're saying, here's where I'm at right now. Here's what's getting in the way of this life. This is my bad habits that I want to change. These are my overworking behaviors that I want to change. this is the hours that I'm working right now. This is why I'm doing it. This is how I feel, right? This is your starting point. In your unique pivot map, you actually write all of that out. So your conscious brain is very clear on where you're at today. And then you spend time getting very clear on the destination, the balanced life that you want, what those work hours are, when you're prioritizing yourself, what it looks like to prioritize yourself, how you want to feel in this balanced life, when that time is with your kids, what your priorities are, what your values are. Your brain is going to see a very clear picture of the balanced life that you want. That's the destination at the end of the map. And then together, I'm going to teach you several different tools. I have about a dozen tools that we go over the course of our coaching together that's going to help you get from where you're at today, that sort of imbalanced state that you're at today, over here to the balanced state that you want to be in. And over the course of our coaching together, I'm going to help you through all of those strategies. You're going to try all of them out, and you're going to figure out which ones really work for you, and then you're going to put it on your map so that you're very clear on exactly what tools and strategies get you from imbalance to balance at any given time. Just recently, I finished coaching a couple of women over the course of 6 months together. They work with me one-on-one, and we created this pivot map together. We took everything that they'd been learning in coaching, all the things that were sort of getting in the way of them living a priority first life. And then we walked through all of the tools and strategies that they had learned over our coaching together, what kind of worked for them, what didn't work for them. And they put all of that into words. And then they put into words sort of their balanced life that they were living today, what it felt like, what they were doing, how free they were, what they were doing with their time, how they were thinking, how they were feeling, how they were holding themselves. Right. And so they wrote all of this down. So their conscious mind was very clear where they used to be, where they are today, and exactly how they got from there to here. And so with all of my clients, one of the things they say when I walk them through this is they tell me how helpful this is to get it down on paper, to really see like in black and white, for their conscious mind to really see what it looked like before, what it looks like now, and then exactly the path from here to there so that they can repeat it. The goal of your unique pivot map is the way I walk you through it is I want your conscious brain to have a repeatable process for your conscious brain to see these are the behaviors I'm leaving behind. These are the behaviors I'm moving towards. And I know exactly what to do to get from here to there in my unique circumstance. Right. So step 2 of the ambitious and balanced process is to actually create that unique pivot map for you based on your circumstances, to know exactly where you're at today, exactly where you want to be, and all of the tools and strategies that you have to move from here to there. If you listened to some of these past episodes where I've been walking you through the balanced foundations, I talked a lot about some of those tools in the confidence episode, where you have to have an unshakable view of self. There's some really powerful exercises I gave you in that, as well as controlling your time and like taking back control of your time, where I talked to you about the pivot process. There's a lot of good tools in there that are going to help you get from the imbalanced state to the balanced state that you want. In this group coaching experience, I'm going to actually walk you through all of those tools. I have lots more tools that are going to help you actually achieve that life that you want to live. Now, the last step is implementation and evaluation. I know everyone that is a part of this ambitious and balanced working mom community is obviously very busy, right? You have a very full life. There's a lot of competing priorities all of the time. I totally understand. You don't likely feel like you have a lot of time to invest in a coaching process, right? And so I've streamlined this implementation process. Step 1 and step 2 of the process that I just spoke about, right? The decision making, all the 4 key decisions actually that need to be made, and then creating that pivot map that happens in the very first week of our coaching together. I call this clarity week because that is what you're going to walk away with. Crystal clarity, crystal clear understanding of your priorities and what it actually takes to hold them. Clarity week is actually going to be in this group. It's going to be 5 days, 90 minutes each day, where you're going to make all of those decisions. You're going to learn the process. You're going to get coached on where you feel unclear and stuck and where you need extra support. And then we're going to do all of that within just a 1 week period of time, right? We're going to front load it all. so that the rest of our time together, the rest of the 3+ months that we're going to spend together is going to be about implementing and evaluating what's working, what's not, what tools and strategies are working for you, what's not, how to tweak those and make them better, so that by the end of our 3 months together, you're actually living into all of those decisions that you made during Clarity Week with a lot more ease. So I know that you all don't have a lot of time. So we're going to hammer all of that out in just 1 week and get it all done. And then after that, the commitment will be every day for you to spend 20 to 30 minutes on homework. It'll be the same 2 exercises that you do every day, one at the start of your workday, one at the end of your workday. Each practice will be about 10 to 15 minutes. I bet it will take you a little bit longer in the first month or so of our work together, and then you'll get more efficient at it, and it'll take you roughly about 10 minutes each day. And if you listen to the last podcast where I talked about controlling your energy, I actually walked you through those 2 exercises. I call them the daily work. That's where you intentionally get into a positive mindset for your day. And then the work to home transition that happens at the end of your workday, where you focus your mind on all of the progress made, you celebrate that progress, and then you get yourself organized for the next day. On top of those 2 exercises that will each take you about 10 to 15 minutes every day, there is a weekly group coaching call where you can get support from me. You can tell me what's going well, what's not. We're going to check in every single week on if you're holding to those decisions, if you're holding to the time that you said you were going to be off of work, if you're holding to the time that you said you were going to set aside for you to actually get work done during the day, if you're holding to the time that you said you'd be present with your kids and you're not on your device or like checking email or multitasking through it. Like if you're holding to that time or not, you're going to tell me about it at our weekly group coaching session. And then I'm going to help you quickly get on track if you're not actually sticking to those decisions. And then of course, if you have questions or thoughts throughout the week, or you're feeling stuck, or you just like have multiple days in a row where you're just not holding to the decisions that you want to make, there will be a group chat component where you can ask me questions directly, and other people can offer feedback and support, so you can get coached between our calls as well. You will end our time together in this feeling of complete control over your time and schedule. You will know exactly what it takes to prioritize the things that are most important to you. When you have multiple competing priorities, you'll know how to make those decisions in the moment. You'll actually have more energy for fun, for rest, for feeling happy in the life that you created. So that is the implementation step. It is the majority of our coaching together. If you join this group coaching experience, we're going to front load steps 1 and 2, and then we're going to spend most of our time in step 3 learning how to actually follow through with your decisions, hold to your priorities, so that you experience the joy and the fun and the amazing life that you have created yourself. At the end of the ambitious and balanced process, or at the end of this group, should you choose to join, is you actually feeling in control of your calendar, where you're prioritizing all the things that you want to prioritize. And when you have competing priorities, like last minute things that pop up, you'll know exactly how to handle those moments. You'll feel like you'll have energy at the end of your workday. So there's more fun and there's more rest, and you're just experiencing more and more joy. That is step 3 of the process. Implementation. Now, we spend most of our time actually in the implementation process, where you made all of those decisions up front. You know exactly what the tools are, the strategies are, and then you're learning how to implement them over the course of 3 months together. I cannot wait for this group to launch. This is so exciting I have broken this down so simply. I really do. I told this to somebody the other day. I said, I really feel like I have created a process to feel work-life balance. I feel like I've actually broken it down step by step and made it something really tangible. This experience that we all say we want. We say we want to feel balanced. That feels like such a confusing, nebulous, impossible experience to have. And yet this process, having walked hundreds of women through it, I know it works. And I've broken it down in the simplest, most effective way possible. I actually had to spend a lot of time editing out. I wanted to add so many things into this, and I'm like, nope, I got to keep it simple. I got to streamline this. I got busy, ambitious women that are looking to have the skill set to manage their time and their priorities differently, and they just want to experience happiness as quickly as possible. They want to feel balanced as quickly as possible. How can I deliver that for them. And so I edited out a bunch of things I wanted to add and I just brought it down to this. So simple, these 3 steps. So let's launch into the details of this group. You know now exactly what we're going to do in this group. I've just laid out the process for you. Here are some of the other important details that you need to know. Okay. So the group starts on Monday, September 30th. The last day to sign up is going to be September 20th because I want to make sure that you have time to dive into the materials to prepare for Clarity Week, right? So Clarity Week is going to be September 30th to October 4th. It will be all 5 days, Monday through Friday. It'll be a 90-minute call each day focusing on a very specific topic and then offering you time to get coached on that. If you're feeling confused by it or if you come to the call having not made any of those decisions, that's fine. We'll do it together on that call. If you can't make it one of those days that week or you can't make it to that week at all, if you have to miss a few days, it's okay. It'll be recorded for you and there'll be opportunity for you to get coached and supported during that week outside of those hours as well. But of course, it's going to be better if you can be live and be with us in the group. That would be amazing. And so that's September 30th to October 4th. And then weekly calls start the next week. Our weekly calls will be Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific or 12 p.m. Eastern is that time frame, which would also then be, 11 a.m. Central Time. Again, those will be recorded if you miss one of those. So Tuesdays, the first one will be October 8th. And then we're going to go all the way through Tuesday, February 4th. Now that actually equals out to be a little bit over 4 months. And the reason I wanted to do that is we're going to take Thanksgiving off. We're going to take several weeks over Christmas off, right? But I actually want to be there to support you to creating your ambitious and balanced life through the busy holiday season, right? The holidays, although they get us a little bit out of rhythm because we have so many other things going on. It's like the perfect time to put all of our strategies, all of our tools in place because you're going to be able to go through a season that feels a little bit different than normal life, right? So you'll be able to learn how to implement the tools that I'm going to teach you, how to use the daily work, how to use your work to home transition, how to process those emotions, how to pivot, all the things that I've talked about over the last 5 weeks. You'll learn how to do that in your normal kind of day-to-day work life. And then you're going to learn how to do it over a different season like the holiday season, right? So I'm actually going to take you all the way to February 4th when that's going to be our last coaching call. The investment to join the Ambitious and Balanced group is $2,000. There'll be monthly payment options available for you as well. This could be a personal investment that you make in yourself. It could also be a Christmas gift to yourself, or it could be professional development money that your company supports you with. And I'm happy to work with you and your company on that if needed. And I have a little something special for you if you are one of the first women to join this group. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep doing this or not, but for this group, at least I know, for this group, if you join this very first launch of a group, I'm going to offer you a free monthly coaching call for the rest of 2025. So it ends up being 4 months of weekly group coaching, the process, and then 10 additional calls, 10 additional months of a monthly group coaching call, all of that included in that $2,000 investment. If you are ready to sign up, there is a link in the show notes for you to click on that, learn more information, to sign up right away. Or if you would like to connect with me personally, ask me some questions, make sure this is a good fit, then I would love to set up a 30-minute connection call with you. You can find a link to that in the show notes as well. I'm so excited. I hope you are excited. But as we close out this particular episode, I just want to walk you through this. So close your eyes if you're able to close your eyes, if you're not driving or anything. And I want you to imagine 5 months from now, so that's the beginning of 2025, you've completely reversed your priorities. Work no longer feels like the number one. You do. Your family does. You feel confident at work, like you deserve to be there, but work isn't always on your mind. There's more joy. There's more rest. There's more fun. You wake up feeling rested and excited for your day instead of feeling like you got to gear up to get through it all. Ambitious and Balanced Working Mom community, this is your program. I designed it for you to coach you through all of the strategies that we talk about right here in this podcast. I can't wait for you to join. I can't wait for you to create that life, that calm, controlled, happy, successful life that you desire as a working mom. I am your working mom coach, and I can't wait to see you inside the Ambitious and Balanced Working Mom program. All right, till next week, let's get to it. Hey, working moms, thank you for being a part of this community. If you're listening to this podcast, it's because you are a career-driven, goal-focused, ambitious working mom that is looking for more support and practical tools to balance life. Where you're in the right place, and it has been an honor to support you through this free podcast. But I want more women just like you to get the support they need through this resource, and the best way you can help me do that is by rating and reviewing this podcast. When you rate and review, it makes its way into the algorithm, and then it recommends the podcast to more amazing, ambitious women just like yourself. I thank you in advance, and until next week, let's get to it.